Thank you. Thanks for being here. I want to provide an update on the outage that San Francisco 911 experienced this morning. We began having technical difficulties with our 911 system and radios, and quickly realized that some of these issues expanded to other portions of the city. Started around 6:55 a.m. this morning. We initiated our protocols for when power goes out, and 911 went into manual mode and remained operational with limited capacity through the duration of this outage, which was through about 10:15 a.m. this morning. This is a situation that we planned for. We have experienced power outages in the past, and our protocols continue to support our systems and our response. The network issues impacted both our primary and backup networks that lead into the emergency data system. And although this outage is under investigation, this initial assessments indicate this was not a utility power outage and a localized connectivity issue. When our systems experience outage, this outage, our dispatchers switched to manual mode, which means calls were forwarded to other devices and continued to provide limited capacity. And though manual mode decreased our response, the incoming calls that came through to 911 at this time were tracked, and these calls are being returned or have been returned by 911 staff. These protocols are ones that we regularly test and we use to prepare for this exact situation. While the incident is currently under investigation, we are actively implementing mitigation measures to ensure we do not have this happen again. If a similar situation were to occur, we will respond once again quickly and confidently to ensure public safety for the citizens, the residents of San Francisco. I want to thank our partners at the Department of Technology, our first responders, and public safety officials who came quickly together early this morning to support the situation. So up next, I'd like to ask our police chief, Bill Scott, to come and say a few words.
Thank you, Director Carroll. Good morning, everybody. I'll be very brief. I want to also thank all of my colleagues behind me. We do prepare for these types of outages, and we've had them before. What we want to assure the public is when these outages and things of this nature happen, that we still will be there when we get calls for emergency services. The 911 calls were answered, although there were some delays with that, but we will be there. As Director Carroll said, we prepare for these types of events. We practice for these types of events. Our officers and our command staff and our professional staff members were all prepared, and they went into action to do what it is that we train for. So with that, I would like to turn the microphone over to my colleague, Fire Chief Janine Nicholson. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Scott. I will also be brief. The city really came together as a city family, as a team. The fire department, we were notified immediately and sprang into action with what we practice on a regular basis with our city partners at DEM, at police, at public health. We went right into what we call battalion control to ensure that our resources were all still good to go and we had proper communication. So as always, the fire department stands ready, and we continued to answer the call and stay in close contact with all of our city partners, and we were also embedded at the Department of Emergency Management. And I would like to now introduce our city administrator, Carmen Chu.
Thank you very much to Mary Ellen Carroll, who is our Director of Emergency Management. Of course, as we speak, there's a wedding happening across City Hall here. One of the things I do want to thank, of course, is not only the Department of Emergency Management, but also the Department of Technology for their quick response and partnership with the department, in addition to all of our first responders who have continued to step up and make sure that members of the public continue to receive the public safety that we expect in the city. I wanted to just share with you a little bit about what we're doing to help restore some of this power. So as Mary Ellen mentioned, some of the powder outage, the partial power outage that occurred in the city building impacted some of our city operations. We have already seen that we've restored some of the services already. Much of 311 is coming back online at 1 South Van Ness, and that's important. However, we do have a number of additional functions, including our VPN services, which is our virtual private network services that allows people to securely connect into our city systems, being worked on in terms of being restored very quickly. We're working as hard as we can to make sure that comes back online so that the full scope of city services continue. But please do know that in terms of other services that have been impacted, 311 is currently partially up and running. They are continuing to take calls, but please be aware if you are calling into 311, there may be some time delays in terms of being able to respond because our VPN network is not up all the way back yet. Our animal care and control facilities not impacted by what happened today, and of course our medical examiner, another critical part of our law enforcement and emergency response, also not impacted by this outage. So just to say thank you very much to our first responders, DEM, for quickly addressing this and pulling folks together as we have practiced. Our Department of Technology stands ready to assist to make sure that we're bringing back our services online as quickly as possible so the full restoration of city services can resume. So with that, of course, available for any questions that you might have. Linda Jarrell, who is the Department of Technology Director, is also here with me to answer any technical questions that might come up. Thank you.
So, I think you mentioned it wasn't an outage or not a utility outage, but then you're saying it is a power outage, so I guess I'm a little confused what caused this, because...
It was a power outage, but not caused by outside PG&E connection. It's something that happened within our system that caused a power outage. So it's internal to the city.
So is that like old power systems in the building failed then? Like breakers and those sorts of
it's
things?
still under investigation right now.
Do we think this is a man-made issue? Do we have any worry about sabotage?
We do not have worry about sabotage right now. We are, again, it is still under investigation, but it does appear to be an internal, not a man-made or intentional incident.
I guess I also was a little confused about the things that aren't impacted. Was this out of physical location and hitting one building? You talk about the medical examiner's office; they're out in Hunters Point. The 911, I think, is at Turk Street. So
yeah, so the Turk Street building, which is one of the most secure buildings in the city, does house a number of infrastructure and systems that do affect other parts of the city. And so that's why.
So if I'm reading this correct, this sounds more like some sort of server room, something that houses all of the IT stuff since they're so heavily involved?
Still under investigation.
Okay.
But could we say it happened at Turk Street? Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So it's Turk Street.
When you guys were down, how long were you down and what protocols were you during that time?
No, that isn't our protocol. We were down for about 2 hours. We were able to forward calls to other mobile devices. And then for calls that were not picked up immediately or got a busy system, we have a system that captures those numbers, and so we were able to call those callers back if we did not answer.
Do you know how many approximately calls were missed and had to be returned?
I don't at this point.
So this was not a ransomware or anything like that, as far as you know?
It doesn't appear to be at this time.
Everything's back up and running? Or there's still some pockets that...
Yeah, we don't know for sure that everything is, but our critical services and our 911 system is back up. And as City Administrator Chu said, 311 that was impacted is coming back. And so there may be some delays as the systems come back up.
Any final questions?
I think just maybe answering one more time if you don't mind. This happened during a time, just a regular old Friday morning on a holiday, not a lot going on probably. But if this had happened maybe during, earthquake or something? I mean, what are you guys doing to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, so the protocols that we used are for any power outage. They're ones that we practice. Obviously, if we had an earthquake or other significant major outage, these are the protocols that we would use. Again, we're looking into the cause and to mitigate in every way we can for this happening, for this not to happen again.
The outage location, does it have backup generators attached to it, and did those kick in?
Yeah, we do have backup power there.
And did they kick in this situation?
We're still investigating why we lost power to certain parts of the system.
I think when you started, you said that it affected both it affected the backup power as well, correct?
There's some connectivity issues within our power system that we are investigating now. So I really don't have specifics as to why this and what.
And you have practiced this protocol before, so you guys had a backup plan keeps you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, kids.